But I don't know what happened to you in that trip to the USA with Gytis, but you came back a different man.
Yeah.
So
I'm just speaking facts from now on.
Speaking
no
facts.
more bullshit.
I think the Twitter insiders, made you angry.
I know what you're trying to do with me right now.
I'm not trying to do anything.
I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there.
I'm not trying to start anything here, but I think people deserve to hear your opinion, on that.
We should just block Twitter and that's it. At least for summertime.
But
everyone would benefit, actually.
Everyone, you mean people or just
everyone?
Teams?
Everyone.
Players?
Everyone.
You?
I don't know, maybe some agents are benefiting from it. I've actually even heard
For
some
sure.
crazy stories that some agents create Twitter profiles, to spread some news. And potentially they have some correct information. So you try to cover up all the shit that you want to spread and publish in a situation where it could help you to get a bigger contract or whatever. At least that's what the legend says, or that's what basketball, that's the stories that I heard from a basketball community members. So that's interesting. And that's kind of smart, I would say.
There are some accounts, that have joined Twitter on April 2024. And
suddenly just broke the code, right?
Yeah, you just put the, EuroLeague or some kind of basketball logo. And you start tweeting the inside information about European basketball. And since nobody actually checks the information, you'll just have the...
I'm not blaming them actually. I'm not blaming them actually because they're just using the situation. It's about the people that get too much into this information and trust everything that is written on Twitter, which is crazy to me. But yeah. And it involves everyone, not just fans, basketball people as well. And then at some point you just cannot realize what's true, what's false, what's actually going on.
There was I don't know who wrote it. I think our colleague Darius, our stats guy, wrote it that he like every summer or for the couple of past summers, he wants to have this track sheet in an Excel file where he basically tracks every report that was out there by which reporter on Twitter, and then you have their track record, like how many of those things that they have said actually became true. And I think this would be a super funny thing to actually see the results. We are always talking about the players and their performances, their field goal percentage. Like, what is your field goal percentage on these rumors? Probably one of the biggest rumors was actually thought true in the first place was Sasha Vezenkov coming back. Like I think this weekend or it was Friday. I'm not sure, Saturday, and. Everybody in Europe basically wrote.
Who is everybody in Europe?
Almost everybody wrote. I don't know, but it was like everybody was retweeting it. It had like thousands of likes on Twitter that he will sign 4-year, 17 million deal here back in the EuroLeague. And then all of a sudden, just one guy who is covering the Raptors is reliable, just writes like Toronto traded for him. He's not really coming back. Like there is no intention. He still has contract, and there was like. Oh yeah, nobody said anything after all, those same reports.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are two different perspectives regarding this Vezenkov story. It's not like it's completely false or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like it's impossible that he will return. But finally, at least we got some perspective from the Toronto side, because not only that journalist, but I think somebody from the Raptors front office, I think that they also said something about Sasha, that he's in their next season's plans.
Yeah, so it's not only up to him. So even if he does want to come back and that part is true, it's not that easy. It's not the way it works.
And even if teams are, making inquiries about Sasha, if let's say if you're coming back, if you're getting waived, look, there's this opportunity, and there's nothing wrong about that.
Yeah.
So I think there are two different perspectives, and Vezenkov's story is not the worst thing that happened on the internet. And at the same time, apparently not all the U.S. reporters that you think that you should respect are really trustworthy. And just one of the examples is this rumor about Vasa Micic being Denver Nuggets trade target. It's not true at all. So, and you think that these guys, they know everything, or that they put, some great
trustworthy information.
More information, but like our colleague Karol says, not okay. I don't know the English wording, but let's say nobody's perfect. That would be the simple wording in English. So yeah.
Okay, let's go talk about.
That's some stuff about the behind the scenes of the reporting here in Europe. And once again, I'm not blaming those reporters. Some of them are real, and there are group of really trustworthy reporters that I really respect. I follow their job and really good. There are some others who try to benefit the situation, and you cannot blame them because they're just benefiting from people who believe in everything. My advice, once again, would be shut down Twitter for summertime, or try to visit only BasketNews.com, because we try to filter all this bullshit that is on the internet, or let's say a lot of bullshit that is on the internet. And we also do mistakes. Sometimes we're also wrong, but our field goal percentage, I think, is quite good regarding the news that we put on our website.
I believe so.
We would rather not publish anything until it happens officially, instead of putting something and guessing or speculating. So yeah, that's how we do.
So you're saying Sylvain Francisco will be a Zalgiris member?
As he was supposed to. That was the plan. There's no need to create any other stories,
Right. But
this podcast is not only about rumors, right? Not about transfers, not even about some official stuff, but also about the Olympic qualifying tournament that is going to happen this week in 4 different locations: Latvia, Puerto Rico, Athens, and Valencia.
Starts tomorrow.
And finishes in 1 week.
And finishes on Sunday.
Yeah. And
you wanted it to be longer? You said it like that.
I just wanted to have at least some kind of a preparation for this tournament. And I believe that a lot of coaches would agree with me. I mean, some teams had like 1-2 friendly games.
Mostly,
and in most of these games, the main players didn't play, especially the NBA guys. So, I mean, that's the worst part. I love national team competitions, but I'm really concerned about the quality that we're going to witness in the upcoming days. That's my problem.
It's true. I saw some friendly games, and there were some tough periods to watch in those basketball matches. Like, you could see the guys just had holidays, finished the first week of preparation, missing layups. The ball is suddenly not dribbling as well, in your hands as you would want to. So, yeah, I think, of course, it's good that we'll have like group games, and then it's only semifinal and final. So some teams will have 1 or 2 easier games to get it going, and then finally really be on a little bit better level once you play. Because I think for a lot of these teams, for a lot of these favorites, the first 2 group games are going to be just 2 more friendly games, to be honest. A lot of these teams, every qualifier has really, let's say, concrete favorites and teams that are just there because of the way system works. So should we start talking about?
Yeah, we're going to share our predictions who will win those 4 qualifying tournaments and will advance to the Paris Olympic Games. And we will start from Athens. And I believe that our Greek friends want to hear our takes. Crazy fact. I was in New York last week for the NBA draft.
Yeah.
And in some random Brooklyn street, in a random situation where Gitas was uploading a lot of videos for the vlog for our guys to do it for the website, for the YouTube. Greek guy who was eventually working in a construction company, he approached us and said, "Hey, I know you guys. I know you Gitas. Apparently, the same guy was in Berlin 4 weeks ago, and he was participating in our quiz. Gitas was also a reporter in Berlin during the Final Four, and he was like saying that, Dimitris Studis, I think that in his eyes, he was the overrated coach. And now we're meeting the same guy in freaking Brooklyn in some random street. So
complete accident.
And then 2 days before, we meet group of Olympiacos fans in Times Square celebrating some ads of Olympiacos football team winning Europa League, and they put this ad on Times Square, which is big thing when some European thing is brought up over there, and we're meeting this group of Olympiacos fans talking about Keenan Evans and stuff. I mean, and apparently they also follow Basket News. I put the picture out there, and one of the guys' brother texted me on Instagram as well and says that, hey, I'm also a big Basket News fan. So I don't know what is actually crazy in this story. Is it like the world is crazy, the way it goes? Is it a crazy thing, or Greeks are just crazy because they're everywhere and it's just very interesting world that we're living in.
But I don't know. But I just saw that picture of you meeting that same guy, and I thought it was super cool. To be in the same place on two different parts of the world. What was it, like 4 weeks apart? That's dope.
Yeah. So now I just caught myself like trying to cover the fact that I don't think that Greece will win the qualifying tournament in Athens, to be honest with you. I mean, my heart says it's Greece, but when I started thinking about the matchup, I'm concerned. Really, I'm concerned about Greece.
Go ahead. What are your main concerns? Tell me that.
Basically, Luka. Just Luka.
That's it? They don't have an answer for him?
It starts from Luka.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they have an answer for Luka. I don't think that anybody has an answer for Luka. The second problem for me is the way Greek team is built. Again, I pointed out all the players of their roster. I've checked their last season's three-point shooting percentage, and I just see a lot of limitations offensively than when the offense goes into the half-court offense. Nikolatis, 36, Thomas Volkov, 30, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 27, Papanikolaou, 36, Papagiannis, apparently the best shooter on the team, 48, Vasilis Toliopoulos, 32, Kalaitzakis 25, Larenzakis 32, Mitoglou 34, Kostas Antetokounmpo 0, Haralampopoulos 37, and Moraitis 50% on 1.7 3-point shooting attempts. And when I watched some, let's say, clips, parts of the games that they played, and they didn't play a lot of games with Giannis on the court, you could see that in the fast break, they will easily win the qualifying tournament. But if they will get too much into the half-court offense, they might have problems. I see Giannis facing double team. I see him kicking out the ball. And I'm just concerned that they might miss some open shots. And on the other end of the floor, you have Luka Doncic, who's basically unstoppable. Unless Panayotis Kalaitzakis greatness will happen. So let's say I'm concerned about Greece. My heart says that Greece will qualify, but I'm concerned that actually Slovenia will advance. So it will be my wild take.
Yeah, so you're picking Slovenia?
I'm picking Slovenia, yeah.
Okay. I'm picking Greece.
Okay.
I'm picking Greece. All the doubts that you've mentioned are absolutely, on point. It's always been that way when Giannis plays. Like, they're just running in transition. There is no one stopping him. But in half court, they're always packed the paint. In FIBA, it is even easier to do than in the NBA. They don't usually have enough shooters. But I think with this group, you can have like a potential 5-man lineup that are somewhat capable, And of course, you never know what you're going to get with guys like Thomas Walkup or Nick Kalatis, with the way they shoot. One day, Nick Kalatis can hit game-winning threes in the quarterfinal series, or Thomas Walkup can go 0-5, but when he plays Lithuania or when he plays Zalgiris Kaunas, all of a sudden he's making step-back threes in isolation situations. Yeah. I think they can have a somewhat decent spacing with Giannis, with Papagiannis out there, with Dinos Mitoglou, if you want a super, super big lineup out there. Then you have some of the guards, that can make the shot, to be honest. Giannis, who is going to guard him, if he goes into the post, if he goes into that elbow action to play ISO. True. Of course, it's going to be like a team's job, but at the same time, I have more questions for Slovenia, I think. And is it Greece defense over Slovenia's offense? I think, this is probably the most interesting tournament of all of them. And you have Croatia in the group stage. You have Dominican Republic, even without, Kat and Al Horford. They still have a pretty good roster with Chris Duarte and Jean Montero and Andre Feliz. So high-level guards there. It will be interesting to see even in the group stage. But for Slovenia, how, Josh Nebo will fit in. Like, for example, in the playoffs, I think Luka Doncic, when he played with one of the lob threats, Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford, Mavericks' offensive rating was lower than when he played with Maxi Kleber at the 5. Like, so you can compare the same things here too. Mike Tobey's not there, but when he was there, the floor is spaced. Yeah. Luka has all the tools. He can create so much. Now with Josh Nebo, he's a lob threat, just as those two guys in Dallas. But at the same time, it's a little bit trickier spacing. Mm-hmm. So maybe Greece can do something here. So, and my last point is like Luka's track record in super important games. Like last 3 years, he lost his mind and just, his defense and his basically attitude cost him games. So, you mentioned Kalaitzakis, and I immediately thought about this. Maybe he or one of the other guys can do something to get Luka on his nerves.
And they have enough guys starting from Kalaitzakis as well.
Walk up. Yeah. You have Nick Kalatis. Yeah. It's not like probably these guys are going to guard him, but all of these Greek veterans are super smart guys that can get under your skin. Larenzaki is there too, Papa Nicolau. Yeah. And so I don't know.
And I even have more question marks regarding Slovenia. Latko Čančar, who's super important second best player. He should be second best player in Slovenia. He didn't play a single NBA game last season. Edo Muric, the same issues with the ACL. He didn't play a single game last season. And we are talking about a quite short rotation that Slovenia has, and it feels like that every year their rotation is getting shorter and shorter, and maybe that's why Slovenia gets farther and farther from the podium in all the competitions that they play. But on the other hand, I think that Greece still needs to learn how to play against Giannis. You cannot say that they kind of figured it out before, and with the new head coach, I think that they're trying a little bit different how to execute him on the court. I don't know, you will agree or not. I think that Vasilis Panoulis tries to play him more on the low post instead of the face to the basket, starting from the perimeter. I think it's an interesting change so far. But we're talking about how many friendly games they're going to play before the competition starts? 1 or 2 games. And we're talking about Slovenia, which is limited. They have shortened rotation. But everyone knows how to play with Luka. And first of all, national team competition is very specific competition because it's all about getting, creating chemistry in the shortest amount of time. Also creating chemistry, moving the ball, feeling good about each other, and peaking at the right time. So we're talking about Greece, which has their own challenges, how to click together, how to create this chemistry. On the court, off the court, I've heard only good things about the chemistry in Greece national team. The way guys are clicking, the way Vasilis Panoulis tries to put all the spotlights away from Giannis and to please everybody, not just Giannis. So I don't have any concerns about that. But in this short-term competition, I think that these simple things are important. And Muric has his own issues physically, Latko Čančar, but we're talking about helpers, not the main facilitators. And I think that for them to adjust, playing next to Luka will be a little bit easier. I'm not saying that Slovenia will crush this tournament. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose the first game against Croatia, for instance, because Croatia is really good. I decided not to no longer trust Croatia, because they already crushed my hopes and trust 2 years ago, I think. So no more patience with Croatia. I'm not a believer anymore. So I see Slovenia losing the game. I mean, it's possible. If they win against Greece, it will be as hard as it was against Lithuania, I think, 3 years ago, because it was a very tight match. Lithuania was close. But I'm just concerned. I can easily see Greece qualifying as well. I think they're more talented in general. I think that they have bigger depth. They're good. They have Giannis. I mean, they have. When you watch Greece, especially in transition, it's a beautiful basketball that they play. I mean, with Nick, with Thomas Walkup, it feels like that sometimes they're even overpassing the ball because they just want to create the best opportunity for each other and just keep passing the ball, and it's all good. I just have these concerns. I just see the situation where the game stops and it goes into Luka Doncic mode, which is a very dangerous zone to be in. So I'm just taking this wild, maybe a little bit bold prediction and picking Slovenia.
It's not bold when you have Luka Doncic on that team.
Probably. Okay.
But
I'm just not going to be popular with this one.
I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people will agree with me or you about this. You are saying, I mean, we all saw what Slovenia did to, us, Lithuania 3 years ago. Also playing in the country that is hosting, against the country that is hosting the tournament. So
I have an idea how to, let's say, to improve this basketball insiders media game on Twitter. There should be some rules. There should be some restrictions. If you create your account and if you want to report something and if you don't represent any media outlet, there has to be some accountability, right? And you have to be a real pro. So you have to create your own website, right?
Where are you going with this? I agree with you.
Because for all these insiders, I have an idea, that you have to be more credible by creating your own website. And there's the tool that we have. Our partners, Hostinger.
And the AI website builder who can basically let you generate the website in, let's say, like 5 or 10 minutes. It depends on the time you invest. But basically, you can choose from a lot of templates. They have like 150 of them. And even if you are a complete rookie,
exactly,
you can do it in like 10, 15 minutes.
Exactly. To be an insider nowadays is so easy because first of all, you can post whatever you want. At the same time, if you want to look more representative, you can create this website to post your news as well. If you don't want to do it only on Twitter,
or you could have like a website made by Hostinger for all of them, and you can track their record of how they're making that. That would be, I think, an interesting idea. So, yeah. I think we should offer this idea for someone. And some other key features that Hostinger has is AI writer, basically to compose CAO-friendly copy. Logo maker to create high-quality logo. They have mobile builder, so you can edit basically from your phone. And if you are trying to sell something, this might be the case because we are talking about a website, but you might maybe want to offer and sell something. They don't have any additional transactional fees. So What's their code?
Wow. You can get your additional promo code with a 10% discount for all hosting plans by using the code BNews10. Free domain as well as free AI website builder is included. And speaking of track record, usually Luka gets fatigued at the end of the competition, and usually Slovenia starts really well. And we're talking about the 1 week competition. He's banged up.
Yeah, but he just played the whole season with injuries.
He's banged up, but he's still hot. He's still hot. You can see from his first friendly games. So it feels like that he still has it for at least one last week. So yeah. That's about it. Okay, also random fact, Luka didn't win a single game against Giannis in the last 2 seasons in the NBA. His overall head-to-head record is 2-8 in Giannis' favor. Doesn't speak well about he doesn't speak well about his chances, but anyways.
No, it's like we'll see. Milwaukee had a better team for the majority part, let's say.
Yeah, that's true. But
would you be surprised if these teams actually met in the semifinals?
So Slovenia needs to lose against Croatia, and basically
or Greece loses against like Dominican.
And I don't see Greece losing to Dominican. There's no way. And actually, I'm not sure if it's good for Greece to face them in semifinals because once again, Luka is not going to be that much fatigued as he would be playing back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday. So it's better to meet Slovenian finalists in my eyes.
Okay, I know. I was just thinking that maybe, these qualifiers with teams not being prepared well, few friendly games, we could see some surprises. And I think we might see a surprise here in the semifinal matchups. It's not fully out of the question, I would say that way, because Croatia, Dominican Republic are two interesting teams that can definitely,
Croatia, they have a good squad, so
and it's like Mario Hazonia playing there really, really well this season. They have Jalene Smith, they have Dario Saric,
Zubac. That's a freaking solid starting five, really.
But as you mentioned, a lot of people always hype Croatia before the tournaments, only to get disappointed after 1.5 games. Let's see this time.
Then we have San Juan in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. The most interesting qualifier to us, probably, because we have Lithuania there.
Yeah.
And Italians.
And maybe some Puerto Rico fans that we have here following the podcast.
Who do you have as a winner? Be unpopular here.
No, I pick Lithuania.
Yeah, me
too. I'm not so super confident. Italy, I didn't watch their games, but at least from the box scores,
they won against Spain.
Look solid. They won against Spain. They have this core. Okay, they miss Fontecchio a lot, but I just see situations where they will be a little bit uncomfortable for Lithuania. So
true.
So I think that it won't be easy for Lithuania at all. And then Italy is very uncomfortable matchup for them. And things can go in a very unpredictable way when you play Italy.
When you play Italy and when you play Puerto Rico at home, I think they are also a dangerous team in this qualifier. Not saying they're favorites at all. I think the favorites are Lithuania. We should win, but I just don't see the big difference in rosters. Like there is a gap, but it's just not as big, let's say. And as you mentioned, Italy can be really uncomfortable with their shooting in every position. I think Nicolo Melli playing at the 5, Gallinari playing at the 4, playing from that elbow area one-on-one, doing damage. I think it's just some teams are not built well to play against that style.
Yeah.
And defensively, I think Lithuania can have a harder time, but I just think with the weapons we have, with the way, now Jonas Valančiūnas not playing in this tournament, we are playing through Domas Sabonis a lot more. We have, Grigonis, there is Sirvidis, Jokubaitis, a lot of other guys. I think Lithuania are the favorites, but as I mentioned, Italy and their three-pointers, it's always dangerous. And Puerto Rico. I want to talk about them just a little bit. Puerto Rico.
That's a thing to watch.
They're playing at home, and there is a difference. When you're playing at home, but you're not a favorite, that actually is a huge boost for you. Because if you lose, nobody will say anything to you because you have Italy and Lithuania, two powerhouses, European powerhouses in basketball. They are supposed to be in the Olympics. Puerto Rico is not supposed to be in the Olympics. The last time they were in the Olympics, I think it was 2004.
Yeah,
when they actually,
Carlos Arroyo
when they beat USA.
Oof, what a team it was.
That team
Daniel
was crazy.
Santiago. Oh my God.
So, and they don't have any pressure here. They have Jose Alvarado, they have Tremont Waters, I think. And
unfortunately, there's no Marcus Howard. He would make those games even more exciting.
They would play the super small ball lineup with, I don't know. They would probably not, but so they don't have the pressure. So I think when you're playing at home and you don't have pressure and you have this up-tempo style of play, it's fun. You're having fun. If threes start to fall, if you are catching transition opportunities, you become a really dangerous team. And again, single elimination tournament, anything can happen. But as I mentioned, I think Lithuania, with our size, with Domantas Sabonis there, with different options offensively.
And even defensively, I think that Sabonis in front, they're better matched up against against Italy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. He's quicker than JV for sure at that position.
Yeah, so maybe that will help them as well.
I hope so. I really hope so. So Italy looked great, to be honest, playing against Spain.
Did you watch the game?
I watched some parts, yeah. So from what I saw, it was.
And again, they're usually clicking for those competitions really well. The same court, the same style, coach. I mean, everything. And this is that's the game changer for these national team competitions.
True, but as I mentioned, I think like if I had to say percentages of chances for each team to win, I would give like 70 to Lithuania, 25 Italy, 5 Puerto Rico.
By the way, funny thing, when you mentioned Puerto Rico, I mean, the crazy thing is that they still have their domestic league championship happening. And I think that their head coach is involved in the domestic league. Yeah. So that's weird. I didn't expect that in this center in 2024 we'll talk about some mysterious closed behind the doors game between Puerto Rico and Lithuania where nobody is aware what was the final score and you can actually see. Do you know how the game has ended?
I've heard, but I don't know.
Exactly. What did you hear?
That Lithuania lost?
That's the craziest thing because when I was checking the Instagram feed, probably there was this story created that Puerto Rico won by 3, I guess. Apparently, from what I heard, Lithuania won like in double digits. But that's the craziest part. They decided to play this game behind the closed doors, no stats, no final result. For some reason, it feels like they played in North Korea or whatever. And if it was such a big deal to post at least the final score, who really cares?
To be honest, I didn't care. Like, I just read it and like I didn't even ask. I don't care about the result. They played a game just to get in shape, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't bother me that I didn't know the result, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me as well, but at the same time, it creates so many different speculations, and that you could just easily solve it out by posting the final result, and that's it. Just post it and tell that there are no box scores, no highlights, and that's
with the
enough.
caption "final," like NBA teams do when they lose the game. Final from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so. That was weird. I was actually surprised when I saw Jokubaitis and Alvarado in one picture, and I was like, did they ever play before? And apparently there's this game that nobody was aware of. But anyway, then you see this, our colleagues went to the domestic league game, and you see which national team did he play last year? The Kobe Bryant of FIBA World Cup in Philippines, Rondea Hollis Jefferson. Did he play for Lebanon?
I think so.
Could be the case. So. No, Jordan, of course.
Jordan, yeah.
Kobe played for Jordan. Yeah. He's actually playing out there, so it's just like a crazy basketball world, and I would say that not very healthy basketball environment that we're playing in, and we're having the sports. So that's just another perspective why this timing for the qualifiers is just really weird, and again, going opposite the quality that we're expecting. The third qualifying tournament in Riga. I think this is the most unpredictable one. Would you agree with me? I think it's an open race to qualify for Paris.
Yeah, I would agree. The open race, a lot of interesting teams here. And I have actually the winner, Brazil.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
I was thinking between Montenegro and Georgia.
Between Montenegro and Georgia?
Yeah.
Not even Latvia?
Come on. Latvia, they don't have Kristaps Porzingis and Gražulis.
They didn't have last year.
But again, we're talking about the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Gražulis was super important out there. Žagars was on fire. And we're talking about the guy who missed a lot of this season.
True.
He returned at the end of the year, but he's in a different momentum than he was before. Roland Schmitz, I hope he got his confidence back and he got his momentum back after the final series. But again, he was not in the greatest shape. And since it was a Cinderella story, there's a track record of these Cinderella stories. Usually it's not going to get repeated. So I thought that, okay, I love Latvians. They're our Broliukas. I would love them to see playing the same way they played. And if that's the case, they will have a chance. And probably they will advance to the Paris Olympics. But it's a different year, different setup of the players as well, different momentum. And that's why I'm picking a little bit more safe choice. When I think about Montenegro, I think about potentially the best scorer and point guard in the qualifiers in Kendrick Perry. I see Nikola Vucevic, and we're talking about probably the best pick and roll pair that you have in the qualifying tournament. They have enough size to make things difficult for you. They will be defensively, they should be good. They actually had a quite decent FIBA World Cup competition last year. They lost only against USA and Lithuania. They won against Greece. They kept the core. So I think that, I'm just trying to
hype them up.
Yeah. So let's say I go with them, although I really think that Georgia has a nice shot. They're a very well-coached team. I like Joe Thomas in addition, Tornika Shengelia in his zone, let's say, when he's playing for Georgia. They have Bitadze. I'm just concerned about their shooting ability from the other players. So that's why I thought that, okay, I have less concerns about Montenegro in this case, and I go with them. But I also thought about Brazil.
But only in the 4th place, probably, because you had Latvia at 3.
I mean, Brazil not making the finals. Let's say I see Montenegro and Georgia. I'm not sure if it's even possible.
What?
But to see...
What possible?
Yeah, it's probably possible to have, Georgia and Montenegro in the finals. But let's say...
of course, why not?
I rank them at the top, and then Latvia, Brazil, I have them a tie.
Anything is possible in these tournaments. You could be...
Of course.
You could be in the final from the same group. It pains to me to see that we both kind of underrating Latvia here for this tournament. They're still our neighbors. They have a pretty good roster, but I agree to the points that you made. For example, Žalgiris not being on the top form. Hope nothing but the best for him. I want him to succeed. I want to see him in the best shape possible. But it's just too many injuries he had this past season. He was the motor to that team. There is Zorix there, but I think Žalgiris was just so important. And Gražlis as well. He was in some of the games. He was the top scorer there.
And it's not only about scoring,
points.
Right? His role was super
things.
important. Yeah.
Doing all the little
Blue
things.
Guy.
And as I mentioned, now Latvia are playing at home, and they're kind of, because of that, they're the favorites, and because of what happened last year in the World Cup. So to the point that I made before, I think that can play into their disadvantage, to be honest, a little bit.
Look what happened at the last qualifiers that we got before Tokyo. I think nobody won the qualifying tournament among the hosts. Lithuania lost against Slovenia. Serbia lost. Canada, they also lost the qualifying. I think all 4 hosts were eliminated. So it probably never was an actual advantage that you might expect.
Canada, they lost in the semifinal. Then in Croatia.
Of course, there was no Croatia in Tokyo.
Croatia lost in the semifinal. Lithuania lost in the final to Slovenia. And in Belgrade, Italy won. So, going back to the same point. So, I think Brazil also have a chance, and they have a solid rotation, I would say, of 6, 7, 8 guys that can make a difference. You have Iago dos Santos, you have Felicio, you have Marcelinho Huertas, who is still at an insane form at this age. It's just incredible to see him play. You have Guy Santos, you have Raul Neto coming back from injury. You have Jorginho, and you have as well Bruno Caboclo. I think it's a solid team, and they will be physical with their defense. They have guys that can create an offense. I think they're they're not the dark horse pick because they're definitely one of the favorites, and it's a pretty evenly matched race, as we said. So I just like not Greece, Brazil for this.
Okay, that's a good pick. And by the way, this tournament in Riga will be really interesting. I mean, when you look at the other 4 groups, at the 3 groups, you cannot find a group of 4 potential winners of the qualifiers. 2, 3 at the best, but in this group, I mean, all the teams have their own cases. So that's going to be an exciting one. And if, let's say, if only we had like Jordan Clarkson, adding more spiciness to this group. The same goes with Cat, with Dominican Republic. We're missing a lot of players. Lauri Markkanen is not playing for Finland, so that's pity a little bit, but...
Lauri Markkanen is not playing for Finland, and that's probably why the Spanish, the qualifier that's happening in Spain is probably the least interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
Because when I saw the group when way before the draw was held, and you saw Finland, Poland, and Bahamas in the same group, I was like, yo, this is going to be insane. Like really, 3 teams, any one of that 3 teams can go to the, can go out and can go to the semifinals. And then in the other group, you have Lebanon, Angola, and Spain. Spain playing at home. Heavy favorites in this tournament. I just don't see really a reason how can they lose this, to be honest. They have this well-oiled machine with Sergio Scariolo. You have the team that's basically been for a while now. You have veterans with experience. You have young guys. You have pitbulls like Alberto Diaz. You have guys that played in the EuroLeague. Different types of profiles in offense, post-ups, off-ball, pick-and-roll creators, shooters like Abrinas. So really, I just don't see how Spain can lose this.
There was a lot of hype about Bahamas, right?
There was too much hype about
There's still
Bahamas.
some hype about Bahamas, but I would say when you watch them in the preparation games, I have a different feeling. I really had bigger expectations. They still have talent, in Aiton, Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield, but the way they played in the preparation games, I wasn't impressed at all. And the roster that they have, they have all these talents, and then they have like 6 NCAA guys. So in Europe here, and especially on the international level as well, you know how hard it is to make this transition and to build a winning team, having so much youth on your squad for this very short-term competition. So I'm not expecting miracles from Bahamas.
It's going to be interesting to see, DeAndre Ayton, Buddy Hield, and Eric Gordon on FIBA courts together. But as I mentioned, all these reasons that I just said about Spain, they have the experience, they're playing at home. They know how to win. They have been there.
Yeah.
And they have Sergio Scariolo. So I really don't see how... It would take a spectacular game from those three NBA guys to beat Spain in Spain. But I just don't see that happening, really.
Yeah. The funny thing is that Spain is playing the opener against Lebanon, and Lebanon has one very interesting player, Jad Khalil, who is apparently a huge BasketNews fan. When they went there to play a friendly game against Lithuania in Kaunas, the guy actually wanted to meet me. I think he also knows you. I mean, he follows our channel. And apparently, Lebanon, they have a huge fan base over there. And I don't know if you watched this Gitis video about the countries that are also crazy about basketball. When you see this game in Lebanon or one of the Middle East or East countries, they have fans that could, match the craziness of Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, or Serbian fans, actually. Because probably there are a lot of ultras or whatever, they have this hot temperament and stuff. But I was actually impressed. And when, Jad wanted to meet me at some point, I understood that it's not so crazy, because they were looking for some channels maybe to follow the basketball, to follow basketball. So it was just a nice fact that some player from Lebanon actually knows what we're doing, respects what we're doing. And unfortunately, I couldn't meet him because of a super busy week. He was in Kaunas playing those games that nobody watched because we had the LKL finals happening at the same exact date.
Yeah.
Like we had those games. So hopefully in Paris, I will meet the guy, but the odds are not very high.
However, shout out to him.
Yeah. And by the way, if you want to make this week even more exciting, I invite you to play fantasy on basketnews.com. We have this fantasy game especially for this occasion of the Olympic qualifying tournaments. You can create your team. You can play 2 different modes: draft mode, budget mode. You can win some good prizes, I was told. So
yeah, you can win the Paris, for example, Paris Olympics basketball, the official one. And probably the biggest thing is that you can play the draft mode. And our colleagues told that this is actually the only platform where you can play draft mode for this tournament, for the FIBA Olympic qualifier. Because the budget one you mentioned, the classic one, you can find it probably somewhere else. But the draft mode is what makes this thing unique. And yeah, you can go on. You can have the same player as I have or your friend has. So that actually makes it just so much more fun. Because if you have all the same players,
it's boring.
At the end of the tournament, for the final, for the semifinal, you will have 8 guys the same as, for example, I will have the same 8 guys as Donatas have, and then only 2 guys that will depend depend the winner. So,
and to me, sometimes the whole draft process is even more interesting than playing the fantasy game throughout the whole season. The trash talk, because usually you get together with your friends. Yeah. You can get some beer or whatever. You can make it as an event. So that's the best part to me. Yeah. Because that's when things get spicy sometimes if you're playing with your friends. So yeah, I really recommend the draft mode. And Basket News Fantasy. On basketnews.com, we have a new layout on our website. But if you want to go directly to this fantasy game, just go fantasy.basketnews.com. Okay, so we got this national team stuff covered, and we'll do a pod at some point of this week to react in the first 2 games probably, or the first 2 game days of the qualifying tournaments. So be prepared for more URBONUS podcasts in the upcoming days. But at the same point, we have a lot of rumors, transfers happening, and since the last podcast that I did with Kevin Punter, a lot of changes has happened, and it feels like that Olympiacos is making moves. First of all, they made this Tyler Dorsey signing official, 3-year contract. Apparently, there are rumors about Evan Fournier. And the Keenan Evans situation still hasn't been formalized yet. So I'm just thinking, how should we start? Okay.
Can you tell something about Keenan Evans? What have you heard?
He should be Olympiacos player. I heard that Olympiacos puts a lot of conditions in the long-term contract that they're going to sign. I'm not sure about his salary, how much it has changed. Probably it have changed from the initial contract that they agreed on. But for sure, Olympiacos made this long-term deal, let's say, safe and more team-friendly in case Keenan Evans cannot recover after the injury that he had. But he should be Olympiacos player. It's not clear yet when he should return on the floor. Probably they would be expecting him at the second part of the season. But maybe that's the reason why they signed Tyler Dorsey. The guy will be able to help them straight away and will fill that scorer's gap that was left by Isaiah Canaan's departure as well. But that was something that was discussed so much throughout the last season.
The gap that was always there.
Yeah.
I don't understand why players hate us for saying that. It's true. Yeah.
The funny thing is that the same players, different players are talking the same damn thing, actually. But now only those talking heads are bad, Let's blame only these guys because they don't understand nothing. But
it's fine.
That's okay. I don't pay any attention.
It's all good. What I wanted to say is that I don't, wish him all the best. I hope his recovery is as short as possible, but I don't really think Keenan Evans will be a huge part, like a huge piece to Olympiacos team next year. I hope he can return to his old self for the 26th season. So Tyler Dorsey is huge. Tyler Dorsey, 3-year deal. Was a bit surprised for how long his contract is.
That's a smart deal. He's a Greek player, so...
Right, but just, I'm not sure how well the relationship was when he left last summer, a year ago. So a 3-year deal is of course Olympiacos.
2 years ago, I guess. And he left Olympiacos, you mean, right?
Yeah, when he left
He went for
Olympiacos.
Dallas, then
Yeah,
signed mid-season
yeah.
with Fener and
Yeah.
spent the last season. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure. But anyway, huge deal. Great scorer. We all know what he's capable of. He can catch fire. He can score 28 points and all of a sudden. So it's basically what Olympiacos needed. And your question in preparation for this pod was, is this enough?
Yeah.
Looking at some other teams and their rosters, it's just hard to say. What do you think? I mean, I don't think it's enough. I think they need another guy. And Evan Fournier would be, I think, perfect for Olympiacos.
How would you see them play Fournier? I mean, how would you see him fit? How would you see Bartzokas handling this whole backcourt that they have? Of course, there will be more departures. It doesn't make sense to have 10 backcourt players.
Yeah.
Even in Bartzokas' world, but...
I think he would play both second position and third. I think, to have maybe Kostas Papanikolaou play a little bit less throughout the long season can benefit Olympiacos. I think, you play Dorsey, but at the same time, he was a backup Fener player at the small shooting guard position. So
yeah, we're still a little bit rusty. It's been a while since the last podcast that we
I haven't talked in English
have.
for quite 2 weeks probably. No, even probably more.
Uh-huh.
But so I think they Fournier, there is no problem with the playing time. So I definitely think Olympiacos need to go for another name because Panathinaikos really, if they keep Kendrick Nunn and they signed Lorenzo Brown, that's one crazy team. Fener is building probably their best roster in quite a while. So I think really to be really contenders, they need another guy.
Yeah. Do you think they need Sasha Vezenkov? Let's say he gets waived by Toronto, which is probably not happening, the way they communicated it publicly. But what do you think about this whole idea?
I don't know. I think you could invest that money differently. Of course, he's a great player. Like Alec Peters, as greatly as he replaced him, is not on the same level as Sasha was. Sasha is. So, but I don't know. If I'm Olympiacos, I'm investing that money in a different way.
But, if you're Olympiacos, can you say no to Vezenkov? Because if you say no to Vezenkov, he goes to Pana because they're ready to offer him crazy, crazy money. So probably you cannot say no. And that's actually smart from Pana side because you force your rival to invest in a position that they are quite good, I would say. It's a quite well-covered position.
Yeah.
And, they keep spending money on personnel that they don't actually have need. I mean, so
someone playing chess, not checkers, huh?
Yeah. So that's an interesting case. I'm not saying I would say no to Sasha, but this whole situation is really interesting. But let's say it's not happening. The Fournier thing is really interesting because there are a lot of different perspectives and different stuff that I hear about this stuff. If you trust Twitter only, Fournier is a done deal to Olympiacos, right?
Just like 17 other players.
Yeah. I know I was talking to some NBA people who are quite convinced that he's going there, actually, that he's heading to Olympiacos. At the same time, I have some sources saying that Olympiacos was exploring the market. Of course, Fournier was one of the names, but from what I heard coming from these sources, they say that he's not interested in coming to the EuroLeague yet. Is his opinion going to change in 1 month, and 2 months, and 3 months? I don't know. Nobody can say. Probably he's going to wait for the NBA free agency and what it brings to his table. But, a lot of different rumors about this whole situation. So I'm not quite sure how it will play out. And since you mentioned Kendrick Nunn, I heard that actually there is some NBA interest, which makes this case interesting. I think that Pana losing Kendrick Nunn would be huge. And of course, they made this, apparently, it would be an insurance move in signing Lorenzo Brown, which is great, but still, it would be a huge missing piece in their championship puzzle. Again, I'm not saying that Kendrick Nunn is going to give away his contract that he signed with Pana, because from what I heard, he signed for a really solid paycheck, and he's not going to the NBA for a minimum, that's for sure. But I mean, there is interest from the NBA side. So this NBA free agency might change some things.
I just thought, Olympiacos signing Dorsey is a great move. They are filling in their weak spots. And basically, I think they're in position to wait and see what happens with Evan Fournier, and maybe sign him the same way Panathinaikos did with Kendrick Nunn last season. You start the season, and if the guy is still available, or maybe some other guy from the NBA is still available, you get the reinforcement you need to actually put you really, really as a number one contender.
Yeah, so that will be interesting. Fenerbahce, they made a lot of official moves. First of all, they signed Bonzi Colson, the guy that I love a lot, and I think that's a great move. And I think that's
the guy that we praised so much on this podcast.
Yeah. They signed Nicola Melli, and probably Wade Baldwin is on his way to join Fenerbahce, which will make this puzzle really interesting.
Oh, that one is not official yet?
No. Okay. But I think it's going to happen sooner or later.
Okay.
What do you think about this rebuild in Fenerbahce? Because they have quite a lot of changes, I would say.
All the players that they signed, that are signed or either signed or rumored to be close to them, like Baldwin, Devon Hall.
Oh, yeah, Devon Hall, for sure.
Colson and Melli.
Yeah.
It's like all four guys, I just absolutely like what they're doing on the court. I think they're going to be absolutely amazing. The only two things that I'm looking at their depth chart and I'm missing is another guard, probably more of a point guard, and a center. And if Papagiannis leaves, then maybe another big guy. But I think this is going to be, and I wrote it on Twitter, I think this is going to be the best Fener roster in quite a while. And Wade Baldwin he's going to be the best perimeter player that Šaras had as a coach in the EuroLeague. Because, yeah, he had Vasa Micic, but Vasa Micic in Zalgiris was not the same as the MVP Vasa Micic as he was in Efes, He had a lot of great guys in Barcelona, but I think Baldwin is the best perimeter scorer he's ever had. So,
you mean actual scorer, right?
Yeah.
Not just a guard in general.
Because
you might have a debate. I mean, you have Nikolatis.
For sure.
We're not sure how Baldwin will click with Šaras. I mean, Šaras loved Kevin Pangos, and Pangos took him to the Final Four. That was huge. Yeah, but if you consider only the level,
but that season, Pangos had like 12 and 5. This season, Baldwin was so close from the Final Four. He averaged like 17 and 5. So plus his size, his athleticism over Pangos, I would take him over Pangos. At that Pangos that was in Barcelona that season.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick. As much as I love him, great passer, great defender, great overall player, but I just think, Baldwin's ability to score, ability to create, ability to attract two people on him, ability to go into the paint, it's just, it's something that I think Šaras will have a great time using this weapon.
Yeah, he loves those guys who can aggressively attack the paint and create from there.
And just imagine the lineups, Nico Melli, Nigel Hayes-Davis, Bonzi Colson, Baldwin, Wilbeck, and probably like Devon Hall.
Yeah.
Like imagine that lineup.
They still have Guduric. And if Raul Neto stays, I mean, that's the point guard that you were looking for, right?
But
the playmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, as a backup, that's not the worst
True.
player to have on your team.
But just I'm looking at this roster, and it's all the guys I absolutely love what they're doing on the court. And just I think if Šaras somehow makes this group work, I think they can be really spectacular next season. And they will probably add, like I said, two guys on top or even 3. So he will have all the weapons in the world and potentially the biggest chance, the greatest chance to win the EuroLeague finally as a coach.
Yeah, they're shopping Papagiannis, who's expected to move. If and when Papagiannis leaves, they're going to sign another big man probably. Obviously, they're missing defensive big men, defensive-oriented big men. That was the problem also for them the last season. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Raul Neto. But anyways, they have a really solid team on the paper. But I think that there's one main thing that basically will determine their season. How Šaras will get along with Wade Baldwin on and off the court. I mean, simple as that. And because it's not only about these, stories, history that Wade Baldwin has. He always had these narratives around him. It's also about just a simple thing as the connection between the point guard and Šaras. And that was always huge for Šaras, especially when he wanted to be successful. We just mentioned Kevin Pangos. We just witnessed how important Nick Kalatis was to Šaras when he took over. I mean, so we're talking about a crucial position, and we're talking about the two big personalities. So it all depends on how they're gonna put their egos, I wouldn't say down. Egos is something that makes those two personalities great, actually. But how they're gonna manage the whole situation, how they're gonna manage their beliefs, their approach, how they're gonna decide to work together. But if Fenerbahce is making this move, if Wade Baldwin is making this move, because I believe he's the guy who could potentially choose from a lot of situations, that means that they're ready to sacrifice something when the title is on the line, because that's something Wade needs as well. I mean, he was so close to reaching the Final Four, and now he will be in this position to do it with Fenerbahce.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's a huge change from the previous season, and I think that they managed this whole situation really solid.
And I was just looking at Bonzi Colson signing, like FS, the city rival, were making really huge moves, like adding Roland Schmitz, Vincent Poirier, and not extending Will Clyburn. Just imagining Bonzi on that team as well in Anadolu Efes.
On any freaking team.
Yeah.
Just imagine him on Monaco, how important he would have been for them. I mean, he's the guy who is potentially a game changer for the next season, based on how many teams were trying to sign him. So another game changer that might happen is Nigel Hayes-Davis. The guy is also getting NBA interest. And NBA is something that was always on Nigel Hayes-Davis' mind. So that's another name to follow. And I would say to be a little bit concerned, because one morning you can wake up and see one of million Wojnarowski's tweets, and at some point you will see that, Nigel Hayes-Davis signed this and that contract with this and that team.
He a free agent right now?
He's not. That's the interesting thing. He's not a free agent, but maybe he has this NBA exit clause. Because from what I heard, he might potentially leave Fenerbahce if the NBA opportunity comes. So given Nigel's approach on the NBA, the idea that I think he always felt that he was capable to be successful over there, I think he put that clause in his contract with Fenerbahce.
That would be a huge loss.
Yeah.
To Fener. That would be a huge loss, not going to lie. And shout out to Nigel. He was selected to the USA select team to practice with the Team USA before the Olympics to get them prepared, to get them ready. That was probably a nice...
Man, the guy is living the life. Really.
Yeah.
He's probably going to face who? LeBron James, in head-to-head matchup, play against Team USA.
I think they're going to play the game that they always do.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yep.
So where would you, let's say Nigel Hayes-Davis is staying, where would you rank them having this picture?
This current picture or
current picture?
I mean, they're still missing point guard and the center, defensive center.
We're talking about backups, man.
No, center is not a
center
backup.
Is different, but still, I mean, they
I would
80%
just say,
build the team.
I will just say this: if they get a really good center that fits I'm putting them top 3.
Okay. So you have Pana, Real Madrid. That would make sense.
I have Pana, Real Madrid, and then Fener.
Yeah, because before some moves that happened, I remember I put Barca at 3rd spot, and I would go with Fenerbahce then, not Barca.
But this current picture, for sure, no, because they're still missing some guys. But I believe that they're going to do a good job on these next 2 signings as well. And if they don't lose Hayes Davis, I really think they're top 3.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we have some other news or situations to discuss. And since we have a lot of Lithuanian fans listening to this podcast, what do you think about Zalgiris picture? Because they're also almost complete for the next season. Sylvain Francisco just got officialized 2-year contract, 1+1. Tyrone Wallace is on the way, and I know that you're the driver of his bandwagon. Who else do they have? Matt Mitchell as a new signing.
Yeah,
a lot of Lithuanians coming off the bench or filling some roles. Yeah, Servidis is a newcomer. Smilagic. In my eyes, one of the out of nowhere moves this offseason. Kavarius Hayes potentially staying, Laurinas Birutis over there, and I'm just not 100% sure if Smilagic is the last big man to join Zalgiris, because their idea was also to have this defensive big man to help in the post, mainly for the defensive reasons. Maybe Smilagic can do it with his physicality. I don't know. But what do you think about the picture that you have?
I actually, from the offensive standpoint, I love it because there will be so many options next season for Andrea Trinchieri to choose from offensively. And everybody was asking how Zalgiris are going to replace Keenan Evans. And they're not trying to replace him one by one. They're trying to replace him with so many offensive weapons. And I think they will have even more than they had. I think they will have the most offensive weapons they had in quite a few years, because usually it was 2 guys basically trying to get the offense going. And now you will have Sylvain Francisco. He's a great guy offensively, pick and rolls, ISO. You have that. You have Tyrone Wallace, athletic guard. You have him in transition. You have him in pick and rolls. You have him maybe as well in the ISO situations. You have that. Then you have Servidis, off-ball shooter. For Andrea Trinchieri to draw up a nice play. We already saw that with Brady Manick. Now you have a guard doing that. Servidis, I haven't seen it, on the EuroLeague level, but in the Eurocup, he was also scoring in the pick and rolls and ISO situations. You have Smilagic and his shooting at the 5th position if he plays in that role, and I think he will do it. He's great against giant centers. You have Brady Manick, set plays for him. You have Lanovas post as well there too. You have Matt Mitchell. He can also, sometimes be a weapon against some potential matchups against wings that are maybe smaller and not as, strong in the post, or maybe one-on-one from elbow. So I just mentioned so many offensive weapons for Zalgiris, and it was not a luxury they had in these last couple of seasons. They had one guy, they had a couple more.
Okay, they had Evans and Brazdeikis. That's also a solid backcourt to have.
It's solid, but I just think they will have more weapons next year. It's up for Andrea Trinchieri to make it work. I will have questions about defense, maybe. But, it's up for the coach to just solve this puzzle. You have lineups, who will work with who, to not be, let's say, imbalanced in offense and defense at the same time. But I like what they have done. And Matt Mitchell is kind of like the signing that nobody really understood.
Under the radar signing in my eyes.
Yeah, like nobody really understood. But basically, when you have almost the full picture now, he's like, okay, so we have these 4 guys. Okay, we can throw in Matt Mitchell because he just fits. Yeah. He fits to so many lineups there. And he's basically like a wild card for Andrea Trinchieri when you need defense, when you need transition running, when you need some specific targets offensively. So I really like what they have done, to be honest. With the money they had, it's like I think this is probably really close to perfect what they have done this summer.
The thing that I like the most is that they went after newcomers. I mean, all these guys. Okay, Tyron Wallace is 30. I think he's 30 already. But the others are younger. Most of them are up-and-coming, unproven players. And that's what I love about these mid-table or bottom teams in terms of budget, that they're looking for new players. They're facilitating as the platform for these new players to shine. And a lot of potential. Okay, Francisco was in the EuroLeague, but he wasn't
only
seen.
one season.
Only one season. He wasn't seen as the main guy by Pablo Laso. They had their own situations and challenges. But Tyron Wallace was always borderline EuroLeague player. I mean, the guy played a lot of games in the NBA. He was proving scorer, but for some reason he didn't get this trust from the EuroLeague teams yet. Love Matt Mitchell's signing. Not expecting some crazy stats or things from him, but he will be a great glue guy. Smailagic is super interesting because he's probably the closest person to what Roland Schmitz offers. Just the fact that he's younger, I would say nastier. Maybe his ceiling is a bit higher than what we saw from Rollins, which I consider very, very solid EuroLeague player. And I think that's a great signing by FS. But to find a replacement that looks so similar to Rollins from all perspectives, I think that's a good move by Zalgiris. The only concern that I have is that the money they spend on these players, because we're talking about a lot of EuroLeague rookies, but I would... Okay, Smailagic also played in the EuroLeague, but this is his first experience outside Serbia here in Europe. They're still unproven EuroLeague players, but I think that Zalgiris spent a little bit too much on them. If they signed them for a little bit less salary, I think these would have been brilliant moves, but some of these guys are coming as, go-to players, solid signings. So, but maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's the... today's prices are so different compared to even yesterday's prices. So maybe that's the mental adjustment that we will have to do, evaluating these contracts. But that's the only trigger point to me. I'm not saying that this team will make the top 8. I'm not saying that this team for sure will be in the play-in. Who knows? Maybe they will finish somewhere around like the last season. But I just like the idea of building this team with newcomers in the EuroLeague. Something what Baskonia also usually does every season, bringing new faces and playing as a platform for these guys, and also trying to combine those team goals. So
I just don't think with the budget that Zalgiris has, people can expect to be in the summer on paper immediately a playoff team. I don't think that's fair. Like with the budget they have, even with the little money increase that it's still nothing to like in the EuroLeague.
Yeah.
It's still, you will have 2 or 3 teams that are going to offer bigger money to the same player you want to get. So...
And the funny, not so funny thing about these mid-level teams is that basically the amount that you cannot even afford these players in summer. Some big clubs, they can sign those players mid-season, like just getting some extra money, for big signings. So that's the reality that teams like Zalgiris are facing. And I had something also smarter to say about Zalgiris as well, but I probably forgot about that part.
Let's just go to, or let's just finish the pod.
Oh, just some, I'm not going to reveal the name, but I was surprised by the amount of money that Zalgiris was actually prepared to pay for some guys. And I'm not talking only about Keenan Evans. So just speaking about money, they were ready to invest, I would say, a significant amount of money to one of the guys that they were targeting. You know who I'm talking about?
Maybe.
Okay, we'll talk about after the podcast then. Yeah. And if you want to hear what we were talking about, join Beyond Plus community on BasketNews.com/plus. Then maybe we will reveal some more information out there. But shout out to all the subscribers that we have. We have over 1,200 BN Plus members on our family. Dave Gassman, sportscardstime.com, Janut Georgescu, our GM level subscribers. Also, Vidmantas Nuolaida, Gabrielius Serva, Nicozinho, Tibol T21, Nick Kauhe, Kostas B, Victory, Igor, Golf Lake, Tesseract, Paris, Michael. I mean, we have a lot of names. Alex A, Coach Cook, Jonathan, Nomikos, Coffee95, Emilio 11, Roy de Fumi, Obrad 13, and some anonymous subscribers that support us on all-star level as well. So join BN Plus family to get a lot of extras on basketnews.com/plus. Two little topics to cover. Were you shocked about Pablo Laso moving from Bayern to Baskonia?
I was shocked how fast it happened. Like, all of a sudden, he's no longer a coach in Bayern. And because of personal reasons, and literally 1 hour later, there's a pre-made video about him from Baskonia official accounts that he's coming back. So I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because, personal reasons, you imagine something serious, and I know Pablo Laso is from Vitoria, like he's going to be the coach of his hometown team, but you just, in situations like this, you usually expect a guy to maybe take a break or whatever, but hoping nothing is serious there, but it just looked a little bit strange there.
Yeah,
but
I didn't expect that too.
Didn't expect him going from Bayern, or you did not expect him signing in Baskonia?
I would say I didn't expect Baskonia coming.
Yeah,
because 2 weeks before it happened, let's say I got this heads up, watch out for potential coaching changes. Virtus, first of all, with Djordjevic potentially changing Luka Banki. And then there was this thing, Pablo Laso and Bayern. Some things might be happening. And I was like, I know for sure that there were, let's say, some... How would I describe it? It wasn't, the fairy tale season for Bayern regarding Laso and his players. I mean, there were a lot of different opinions and stuff. And I'm not saying that something was bad. It's a normal part of the process. But let's say I was not shocked that he left. But yeah, the way it happened, how fast it happened, and bam, he goes to Baskonia, to a team that had this coaching spot open for such a big time of such a long time. I mean, that was surprising. And I'm just now curious to see what Bayern will do. To me, Baskonia, I think that they made a good decision to bring Pablo back to Baskonia is a huge thing for your team, for your city. And I'm just intrigued to see what Bayern will do. I mean, I would love to see Spanulis, making his EuroLeague debut, for instance. I don't know.
Right.
For sure, who knows, maybe Gordon Herbert could return, especially after he will finish his stint with German national team because he's leaving officially after the Olympics. There are some coaches who would I like to see to get this chance to work at the EuroLeague level.
Bayern has probably been the most silent team in this off-season.
In terms of signings, but in terms of departures, a lot of departures.
No, exactly, but they're
Francisco,
not replacing anything.
Bolmaro, somebody else probably. Ibaka is still uncertain. I mean, a lot of changes might happen over there. So yeah, and do you have anything to add about Vincent Poirier, Roland Schmitz, players,
Then we already
signings?
covered that.
Kind of, that they're
think
good.
so.
Yeah.
That they're good, and I
They're
like
good.
that. And they're missing a small forward to fill out the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, like Bonzi Colson would have been
Bonzi Colson, Shawan Shields.
perfect. Shields, yeah.
Yeah, these guys. And now, I don't know who's available.
The rumors about Shields, I don't know. They have.
He might stay after they sign Zach Lidey. After Milan signed Zach Lidey, I'm hearing that there's a chance that he might stay in after all. So
Okay.
we'll see. Okay, pretty much it for this episode.
See you guys on Thursday.
Soon. See you guys soon.
Okay.